So hello again, GC is back with another optimization guide. Today I'll show you how you can optimize Marvel Rivals and squeeze every FPS possible. And also I'll solve every problem related to Marvel Rivals like match and character not loading fast. So let's get started. First let's solve your slow game and match loading problem, and to solve that you need SSD. There is no other way, you have to install the game in SSD, although you can reduce loading time by lowering textures and model quality if you have installed your game in HDD, but I would still recommend to install it in SSD. Moving on. So first we'll talk about graphics section, then we'll talk about display section, because you have to measure FPS in display section to choose which setting is best for your hardware. So if you first optimize graphics section, then it would be easy to optimize display section. So here first option is global illumination, which controls how light interacts with your world. Quality wise, GI off looks flat. SSGI completely changes the look. It adds ambient occlusion. Lumen GI high adds environmental lights like sun and moonlight, and Lumen GI Ultra further improves it. And performance wise, going from off to SSGI costs 17%, Lumen GI high costs 31%, and Ultra 44%. So I would suggest to set it off to get the highest FPS possible. Next we have reflection quality, which has three options: off, screen space reflections, and lumen reflections. Quality wise, off completely removes reflections, and screen space and lumen reflections look the same. And performance wise, SSR and lumen cost 4%. So if you want reflection, then use SSR, and if you want performance, then disable it. Next is model details. By the name of it, it looks like it controls character model quality, but that's not the case. I found no difference on character between low and ultra model details, so I researched what these settings exactly do and found it controls view distance, means LODs, level of details, which reduces details of object as it goes further away from player. Quality wise, I couldn't find any difference between low and ultra, but performance wise, going from performance to ultra costs 10%. So because Marvel Rivals is a close range fighting game, we don't care about far details, so leave it on performance. Moving on to post processing, which adds depth of field effect if we go from low to medium, and high further improves the quality, and ultra adds bloom effect also. And performance wise, going from low to medium costs 2%, high 3%, and ultra also 3%. So performance wise, it's not impacting that much. So if you like bloom effect, then you can set it to ultra, but low will give you best FPS possible. Next is shadow quality. Low shadows completely disables character shadows and gives low quality shadows. Medium adds character shadows and improves quality of other shadows, but it introduces shimmering. High shadows sharpens all shadows and gives nice sharp shadows, but it was flickering. I don't know why. I restarted the game also, but it was still flickering. Then ultra shadows gives perfect smooth shadows. And performance wise, going from low to medium costs 7%, high 9%, and ultra 22%. So ultra gives perfect shadows but costs massive 22% performance, so ultra is not an option. High was good, but it was flickering, and medium looks terrible, so I would suggest low to get best FPS possible. Then next is texture details, which improves your texture quality. Going from low to medium, it improves textures a lot, but going from medium to ultra, I couldn't find any difference. And VRAM wise, low textures uses around 6 GB of VRAM, medium 6.7 GB, high 7.3 GB, and ultra 7.7 GB. So if you have less than 8 GB of VRAM, then go with low textures. If you have higher than 8 GB, then go with medium, because quality wise there is no difference between medium and ultra, and also lowering this can improve your loading time. Then next is effect details, which controls various effects in the game like healing point, ultimate charge point, character abilities, and more. Going from low to medium adds little effects to charge point, high adds even more effects and animations, and ultra further improves it. Similarly, going from low to medium, it adds more sparks to Doctor Strange's portal. High adds even more sparks and smoke effect, and ultra adds even more. It also affects water quality. Going from medium to high improves water quality, and ultra further improves it. And performance wise, going from low to medium, it costs 3%, high 7%, and ultra 12%. So if you want quality, then go with high, because high and ultra are almost same, and if you want best performance, then go with low, which I would suggest. Moving on to foliage detail, which controls density of flowers and plants, and performance wise it does not impact at all. So if you care about foliage, then you can set it to ultra. Now let's talk about display section, which includes upscaling, frame generation, low latency mode, and VSync. First we'll see all upscaling methods and their presets. In that, first is native preset. Quality wise, dlss beats everyone, and performance wise optimize off was good but looks pixelated because it does not use any anti-aliasing technique and looks so bad even in native. And before season 1 only taau was there and it looks better than off, so we'll consider that as a base mark. So performance wise taau was giving best FPS because dlss, fsr and xess applies anti-aliasing technique even in native preset, and Epic TSR don't have native and ultra quality preset, so that's not an option. So if you wanna play at native resolution and want FPS, then use taau, otherwise use dlss native for best quality. Next we have ultra quality preset, in which again taau was performing best if you set its scaling to 77%, which is equals to ultra quality preset, but it was flickering. On the other hand, dlss was giving little less FPS but gave best quality with no flickering. And going from taau to dlss drops FPS by 8%, FSR 12% and xess 14%. Now if we compare dlss, FSR and xess with taau native, then dlss improves FPS by 14%, FSR 8% and xess 6%. So for ultra quality preset, dlss is best both performance and quality wise. If you don't have dlss, then go with FSR ultra quality. Then next is quality preset, which is equals to taau with 66% scaling, and compared to that dlss drops FPS by 10%, FSR 13%, xess 15% and Epic TSR 26% on ultra anti-aliasing. But if we set anti-aliasing to low, then it only drops 10%. And if we compare every method with taau native, then dlss was improving FPS by 20%, FSR 15%, xess 13%, Epic TSR on ultra anti-aliasing drops FPS by 2% and low anti-aliasing improves FPS by 19%. So if you have dlss, then I would highly recommend to use it. If you don't have dlss, then use FSR or xess depending on which gives you more FPS. You can also use Epic TSR on low anti-aliasing, which gives more FPS than FSR and xess, but it was shimmering, so you have to sacrifice something. Then we have balanced preset, which is equals to taau 58% scaling, which looks terrible. Compared to that, dlss drops FPS by 9% and all others drops about 10%. And if we compare everyone with native taau, then dlss improves FPS by 25% and all others improves above 15%, except Epic TSR on ultra aa, which only improves by 5%. So again dlss wins both quality and performance wise. Then next is performance preset, which is equals to taau with 50% scaling. As compared to that, dlss drops FPS by 9% and all other drops above 10%. And if we compare it with taau native, then dlss improves FPS by 32%, all others improves about 20%. So performance wise dlss was first, and quality wise all methods introduces character ghosting when you go below balance preset. Then lastly ultra performance preset, which is equals to taau with 33% scaling, and as compared to that all methods drops FPS about 10% except xess. And if we compare all methods with native taau, then dlss and FSR improves FPS by 44%, xess by 59%, but it looks blurry. Then TSR on ultra aa improves by 24% and TSR low aa by 50%, and quality wise all methods looks terrible. Then I compared super resolution, which does not cost anything, so you can set it whatever you want. And here is the comparison between all TSR anti-aliasing techniques. Now it's up to you what to choose depending on your hardware and what gives you best FPS. You are an educated fella. Next is frame generation. If you enable it, then it will automatically disable Nvidia Reflex. So I would highly recommend to turn it off because it will double your FPS, but it will also double your input latency. So disable it. Then next we have low latency mode, which I would suggest to turn it on because it cuts your input latency in half. And at the end we have VSync, which you should disable it in all competitive games. Now if you are still struggling to get FPS, then don't worry, this is here. You can reduce your display resolution to gain FPS. By default you can only reduce it to 720p, but by changing some settings in config file you can reduce it even more. So for that, close your game and go to this file location. Then open this game user settings.ini. Then find full screen mode and set its value to 0. Then find resolution size X and Y and set its value to your desired resolution. For example, I'll set 960 into 540. You can go even lower like 854 into 480 or 640 into 360. Then save the file by pressing Ctrl+S, then close it and right click on that file, then go to properties. Then make that file read only, then apply and hit OK. And if you wanna revert your setting back to default, then just make this file writable again by unchecking read-only mode. Now open your game and enjoy high FPS gameplay. I don't know how will you enjoy this, I can't even see that bot. But anyway, that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and it takes so much efforts to make this benchmarking videos, so show some support. And I also play Marvel Rivals and different games every day on my gaming channel, so if you are interested then go check out that channel also, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.